Hey, it's Worth Playboy,
And my Playboys Bunny.
and welcome to our podcast where we would discuss pickup, game, relationships,
Sex.
and today we are definitely talking about sex.
Yeah, baby.
The topic is girls do have high, medium, and low sex drives.
Absolutely.
And we're not talking about the same girl, which at sometimes in different parts of their life, it can vary somewhat.
Yeah.
But what happened? We've done a lot of stuff on high sex drive girls,
Right.
Because that's Bunny. These are outliers because sometimes people think what is like a high sex drive girl is a girl that you like take on vacation, and she's finally away from the kids, and you guys have like sex like twice a day
Yeah.
for 3 or 4 days, and then that's a high sex drive. Or when they first get to know each other,
Yeah.
you know, those first weeks where you're like bunnies. But you know, a high sex drive girl, it's like that for a lifetime. It's just
And
all
if you
the
can hear
time.
the exhaustion in his voice,
Yeah.
you understand.
There's a certain athleticism that goes with it. And we've talked about that, and what really kind of brought this up was I had an overnight tweet that I put out that was like, you know, if a girl mentions or has a low sex drive, to get away from her as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And what was the response by about half, and it was a lot of chicks jumping in too, was girls only have a low sex drive with you or with a certain person.
Yeah.
You know? And that's just being a normal girl. Is there's guys she's going to be turned on with, and there's going to be guys she's not turned on with. You know, that's normal. But low sex drive girls really do exist.
Oh, yeah.
And there's more of them than there are of high sex drive girls.
Yeah.
At the end of the
I'd
day.
say so.
And so much of this, and this is a thing, just like with high sex drive, you know, we could go back and forth what the difference is. But there's certain components because so much of it is genetic. It's hardwired. Mm-hmm. They're slow to warm up. They do not orgasm easily, if at all.
Right.
They have a history of some type of either they're virgins into their late 20s, early 30s. You know, it's usually the exact opposite of, or they literally just don't have any interest.
Right.
And this is different than like asexual people where they're kind of autistic, or, you know, there's like literally a behavioral block for everything.
Right.
But there is on the spectrum of high sex drive, regular sex drive, and low sex drive. There's low sex drive girls out there.
Absolutely.
And they want to get married too.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things where Bunny and I have discussed is girls leveraging sex initially to lock a guy down.
Absolutely.
And then backing off.
And I know I say this every time we talk about this subject, but of the backing off, I honestly, now granted, I'm high sex drive, so, you know, there is that, but I honestly don't think that girls maliciously, most girls, there are, I know I've heard, you know, a few say it, so I get that girls are somewhat aware, but most girls are not maliciously saying, I'm going to fuck him like a porn star for 3 months, and then I'm going to take it all away and barely give him blowjobs for the rest of my life. They're not trying to do it. It just is the natural cycle. They're not trying to magically have a high sex drive again whenever they are ready to have children. You know, they suddenly have a libido again. Like, where has this been? You know? So I do want to, you know, kind of always put that like gentle caveat out there that I don't think that most girls are trying to present one thing and actually living out another.
Right. Well, and you know, on the spectrum, you know, if you're looking, because there's extremes on every end, but I would say, you know, the vast majority, 80% of girls are just normal. Mm-hmm. You know, they need foreplay, they need some reassurance. Yes, they'll have sex on the first date, but they'll tell you, they want to be in a committed relationship. This is just normal, and they're not going to do too many crazy things,
Sure.
And then your top 10% are open to suggestion. Multiple men, girls, they have a higher sex drive, and
High sexual curiosity.
High sexual curiosity. They respond easily, which again, it's like being a natural athlete. It comes to you naturally.
Right.
Therefore, you tend to indulge in it more. And people go, "How do you do that?" I don't know.
Well, you get so much if you naturally have a higher libido, you do get so much pleasure from what's happening.
Yeah.
That you kind of push the envelope a little bit more.
It's going to be more like a drug.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also a lower inhibition too.
Yeah.
To like multiple partners, and be it in a controlled atmosphere, sex parties, group sex, the big threes.
Sure.
And then on the lower end, you got the low 10%. It's not that they, like she says, they're not malicious about it. It's just not there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of girls do get married, and there's a lot of low sex drive men too.
Sure.
There's more than you don't hear about them. They don't bring it up. It's not
the low sex drive guys aren't hanging out in our neighborhood.
No. And then on the very end, it's funny because somebody was talking about this the other day. There's a very small percentage of women that are like, when it starts coming up like time to start meeting boys and dating and all, they decide it's not for them. They're not lesbians, but they're not. It's just uncomfortable.
Right.
So they don't indulge. They don't join in. They're basically, lifelong spinsters, or your best aunt that never married.
Yeah.
And back in the day, a lot of them would take that role even if they were lesbians, and then have a girlfriend that they lived with forever.
Uh-huh.
But truly now, there's a very small percentage that it's just not part of their life.
It's just not important.
No. And I would say for the 80% of girls that are just regular, most guys don't really care a lot about game. They don't, or they don't even know it exists.
Yeah.
They don't care about red pill. They don't care about seduction or attraction. They just want a nice little chubby wife that doesn't bitch at them, and he can go to work, he can drink, he can smoke weed, he can come home and play video games or hunt.
Yeah.
Most guys are not that interested.
Yeah.
In sex. They'll listen to their buddies' stories and joke and all that, but the vast majority aren't that interested either.
Right. It's true.
So, when you look out across the vast majority of the suburbs, and it's houses that all look alike as far as you can see, that's who occupies, is your basic beta guys, and everything works, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But in our little neck of the woods, it's a little bit more extreme. You have girls that are a little bit more open to experience, more naturals, and also guys that are more focused in on women and sex and different lifestyle parts of the lifestyle. But on the low end, the women that are low sex drive, it's not situational.
No, it's not.
And that's where a lot of people start going, well, she's only low sex drive with you, or she's only low sex drive with her husband.
Right.
No, that's a normal girl that there's a situation where there's no dread, there's no anxiety, there's things that are missing that can be fixed. But truly low sex drive girls, that it has nothing to do with the person.
No.
Even at their best, they're kind of like along for the ride.
Yeah.
Well,
and I would say along the lines of the people who, maybe aren't turned on by their husband anymore, but are turned on by this coworker, let's say.
That's normal.
That's normal. But the way that works, that's not a difference in her sex drive. That's a difference in the situation and the timeline. Yeah. So you're comparing someone who she's been having sex with for 20 years, and she went through that 20 years ago, to someone that she's been in this situation with for 3 months, and she's all hot and bothered. Not to mention the fact that, like we talk about with running a rotation, anytime that you're not able, you don't see them just constantly. You're not constantly, you're not dating. You know, if it's an affair or something and you're only seeing someone once or twice a week, let's say, or when you can, the secrecy makes it more exciting and more thrilling, and the less frequency makes it more exciting and thrilling. So yeah, you know, a girl who is having an affair, she doesn't have a higher sex drive with one man over the other. It's a difference in the timeline.
Right. Which is a normal girl.
It's completely normal.
But again, you get guys, and this is the reason I even put the tweet out, was guys like on the higher end who tend to be our audience. They come across girls and they're like, the girl's not into blowjobs. She's just not that interested. She wants it to be over with, one and done.
Yeah.
You know, like 10, 15 minutes. She's like, you know,
I got mine.
It's starting to hurt. Can we stop? You know, that would make for a long life.
Right.
Like, in a negative way. Like, you'd be like, will this life ever end? Or,
yeah.
You know, guys end up cheating. They end up thinking that they have a problem.
Sure.
And it's just a bad match, which I always suggest when a girl conveys in any manner through action or word that she is not enthusiastic about sex, to get away from her as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Because your sex life is too valuable for you to risk. And there's a lot of guys that go, well, I can teach her. Well, it's like somebody that doesn't want to play the game.
Right.
You know, because they have no interest in the game. It's like the guys that go, well, I'm going to date this overweight girl and then take her to the gym, and then she's going to lose weight, and then I'll have a skinny girlfriend. Well, she's not interested in going to the gym.
Right.
She hates the gym. She hates losing weight. She's happy being overweight. You know, I mean, these guys they're projecting their own values onto their partner, and it doesn't work.
Right.
And then everybody's mad.
Yeah.
You know, but people will stay mad for 30 years.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
So what we wanted to really convey today, that there truly is or are low sex drive girls.
Yeah.
You know, and they're out there. They tend to be pretty good about avoiding.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. But
these situations.
Still, it when stuff like this comes up, and even if it's an low sex drive, low end of the normal, you know, center, again, your sex life is too important to risk. You know, if she's telling you on the front end she's not really all that into it, you can take that to the bank.
It's kind of like when a guy tells a girl, I'm not interested in ever getting married or having a girlfriend.
Right.
And she sticks around for 2 years and she's
Right.
expecting a ring. And he's like, I told you, I never want to get married and I don't want a girlfriend. And then they're like at a stalemate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like she told him.
Yeah.
And he stuck around, or, you know.
Yeah.
But again, guys are so fucking thick-headed, they'll just barrel through it.
Right.
But everybody suffers.
Everyone suffers. And like you say, it's a long life. It makes life long in a negative sense.
Yeah, you're like, will this motherfucker ever end?
Yeah.
You know.
And this kind of thing is exactly what I teach in my Ignite Your Wife 30-day sexual reset course. You know, if she was hot for you once, her sex drive hasn't disappeared. It's just been a bad timeline. And I've had people go through this Ignite Your Wife course, and it's not an instant turnaround. If you've been married to a woman for 30 years, then it's not an instant turnaround. But you can turn that ship around. In fact, I got an email just this morning from one of the guys who has taken my 30-day sexual reset course, and he was saying, this is better, this is better, this is better. We're turning that ship around, and it's so much better. My love life is back.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, there's nothing else out there like Bunny's courses. Most courses are made for women with the woman in mind.
Yeah.
And these are courses to improve men's sex lives with their wives.
Yeah.
From a male perspective.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so much of this stuff, guys are given the short end of the stick. And it's really about chore play.
Yeah, true.
Date nights.
True.
All these things that make guys, you know, it just kills your erection. And instead, she gets down to the sex part.
I do.
You know,
I do.
Because that's what it's all. And the women, your wives will never admit it, but that's the heart of the matter.
Well, and that's the bottom line of all of my courses is that if you are the priority, if what you truly need is prioritized and this is how we get there, she's happier also. Everyone wins when you are on the same sexual level. So, yeah. It's a win-win. If you like this podcast, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. We want you to win. Bye!